So after River was born, we had told ourselves we would want our babies to be. My husband had said for him he wanted 5 years difference. I wanted 3 years difference, and I told myself, of course, when you've tested the beauty of the child, you always want to, have another one and see how they would bond and how. And during this time, after we had our firstborn, I was like, okay, if God, I'm going to go back to labor. I want children, yes. I wanted 3 children. Those were our goals of children. He wanted 2, I wanted 3. And I told God, if you give me one labor that has 2 babies in them, I'll forever be grateful. And I remember praying to God and telling Him I want them to be twin girls, twin identical girls. When they get born by me and my husband, I will slay, I will. Yani, I was very hyped up and I really prayed and told God I wanted twins. But I wasn't very serious. Of course, I had wanted twins from childhood, but I wasn't really serious until the time now he was ready to have children. That is when I get serious with the praying. So the waiting period between Rivel and the girls, and the twin girls, is 3 years. So we waited. When Ruel turned around 3, is when my husband told me that he would be ready to have children. So this was an inspiration from a friend. I think he went on a particular day and they had a conversation, and then this friend told her, it is easy and it is better for you to have another child this early so that they can, one, grow together, and if you're doing this mambo ya parenting, you do it once and for all. And what if God's plan was for you to get, children one after the other and you're done with it? Then you will have blocked yourself from, getting children. So he came back home on this particular day and told me, you know what, I'm ready. I'm like, okay. So we started trying out for a baby. Now that we are all ready, of course, after he told me, the following day I went. It was just before my October, my, no, it was, yes, it was before my October period. It was like I was supposed to get my periods on the 29th. On the 28th, I went, removed my IUD, and then I knew that this is perfect timing. I'm getting a baby immediately. Fast forward, 1 week, 2 weeks later, of course, I'm just I got my periods that day, so I was like, okay, it's just fine. I think it's God who didn't want us to have a child now. So I continued praying and trying and praying and trying and praying. And on November of the 4th of November of 2023, I get to have the news of, after trying for a long time. Okay, it seemed like a long time, but it was literally 6 months, 5 to 6 months of trying. And I got a pregnancy test. I used to test a lot during this time. I used to have intimacy a lot because I wanted a baby. It almost sounded like immediate because I had timed and said, this is God. I wanted the baby and he's ready. I am ready. What is delaying us? So I told God, during this time I would pray and tell God, if you can give me twins, I'd really, really be grateful. I even actually told my husband to join me in prayers, and he's like, no, I'm not praying for twins. To be honest, if he can give us one, we should be grateful that we are even going to ask for another one. So I'm already content with just one baby. So I tell my husband, please join me in the prayers. And my husband is like, this is not being grateful. Yeah, I'm grateful. Don't tempt me. I convinced our firstborn to pray for us. Now we started praying for a miracle baby. We prayed for a miracle baby. We used to pray for miracle baby sister, and Ruel had been his role. He would pray for a miracle baby sister, pray for a miracle baby sister, until this day now. I finally get pregnant. On the November 4th, 2023, I get to know that I'm pregnant after very several tests that I had been doing, and they were all negative. And yeah, our journey of pregnancy begins. Then 2 days later, I start bleeding. I start bleeding. Now, because it had happened to me on the first pregnancy, I knew this is a threatened abortion. I knew it is a threatened abortion. Now, I told myself, I'm going to calm down and relax, because I know God has a big way of... I had been praying that I get pregnant. Finally, I'm pregnant, but now the devil is trying to mess me up. God, take charge. I don't want to be in a place where I am in the pit of loss, So after trying, it would have been easier if you're trying and trying and trying and trying and finally get a positive, and it continues as a positive all through the end. That was what I was telling myself. And if you didn't want me to have this baby, then why would you want me to go through this kind of excitement? So I tell him, God, please, I'm just requesting you. I am ready now, and he is ready, and it is perfect timing. So we went to the hospital, and they told me, you know what, from the scan, this is a threatened abortion, and a very high one, because the chances of abortion are very high. The sac itself had detached by about 75%. So I was put on bed rest. I was told not to do any kind of work, not to do any kind of lifting. My baby is a very cuddly baby, the first son. So I was put on very many restrictions of considering what I would use. I wouldn't use piki or tuk-tuk for means of transport. But I was willing to take on the cost of whatever it would be, and I was supposed to be going for a scan every week, until it had reattached to a particular percentage, and then I would go now for 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, I would go after every 2 weeks to the hospital, and that was my life. All this while, I am puking. I would sit with a bucket just beside me, because everything I would put in my mouth, I would throw up. I started bad morning sickness. It was extreme. I got dehydrated. I lost weight. I got hyperpigmented. I was asking my God, did I make a mistake or what? But I was like, in my heart, no, I am trusting you for this one. And finally, of course, I did a lot of Noziks. I did ondansetron, all those injectables, the ones for nausea and vomiting, and nothing could help. So on this particular day, I go for my scanning, the scheduled scanning on the 16th of January of 2024, I go for this particular scan. I did not go with my husband because he had to go for work. And from the scan, of course, I went with my sister-in-law, because my mother-in-law had insisted I need to have somebody to stay with me, somebody that will help me, with the home chores and stuff like that. Now that I was on bed rest, I had a lot of them. Jackie, you did so very well with me. Lindsay, you did so very well, and I really appreciate all the efforts. Jackie, Lindsay, and Blessing and Praise. All of you did a very great job until Christian came in. So I stayed on bed rest, and that day I went for the scan with Jackie, one of my sisters-in-law. So I went with her and Rivel, and we went to the hospital, and that day they did a lot of tests, and the scan, when I went into for the scan now, I was supposed to meet the gynecologist that day, and the radiologist tells me, you know what, I have news for you. I have news for you. He seemed confused, kind of. And he's like, I have news for you. I'm like, okay, what is this? Every time I would hear news, I would feel very, like, I would get into emotion where I'm anxious because the previous news were, you know, your sac has detached. Now it is not getting back. Now it is getting back at this rate. You need more of this. So whenever I would say, I have news for you, oh my God, I would start panicking. So he told me, don't worry, it's not very bad news, but I need somebody to confirm this for me. So I stay there on the bed, on the sonography bed, and he gets the gynecologist, and the gynecologist like, wow, are those three? Am I seeing three? 3 feet opposite. What do you guys mean? Now, let me take you back. When I had gone for the first scan, the progressive scans, of course, you would mention there's one fetal heart, I can only see one fetal heart. And I used to feel bad because I had told God, I feel like there's none of my prayers that you've never answered. And I was like, I know from the vessels of my heart that you know what I really want, and you know what I need. And you know that I really wanted twins for this birth, and they should be girls and identical. So I had gotten kind of discouraged, but I was like, no, Shifra, be content. If God has not given you that, then probably there's a reason as to why. But one part of me kept on saying, no, God always gives us what we ask Him for. And I told myself, I'm not going to say it to my husband. And Lord, you know me from within. You know what I really wanted. Please, if it's your will, let it happen. If it's not, I will be grateful. So on this day, this gentleman comes and says, am I seeing 3? I'm like, okay, what is it? What are they even talking about? And then it's like, penye umekuwa ukienda kuomba, shikilia hapo. What is happening? That is to mean wherever you've been going for prayers, just continue with that line. Whichever church you've been going to, just stay with that line. Church. So I'm like, what is happening? So he's like, these are twins, and these are identical twins. They are sharing everything. They are sharing the placenta. They are sharing the sac. I'm like, wow, you should have seen me on that bed. And I kind of, I don't know, maybe when we get to heaven, God will give the picture of what happened in that room to my husband for him to see for himself. I cried tears of joy. I was so much elated. I didn't want to share it with my sister-in-law because I wanted my husband to know it first. And of course, finally, my husband, after having the scan, is like, now this explains the reason as to why you had a lot of morning sickness that was not responding to any treatment. It also explains why your pregnancy weight is quite big at this particular time. I can be able to see 2 fetal hearts. That means you have two of them. So you have to, one, continue staying on bed rest until you are about 28 weeks. That is when we can say that you are off the zones. And of course that put me aback. It's like the moment I got to know that I had twins, things now started going to rampage. They were like, as though you already know that we are two, so you do not have to worry anymore. Talking to God about, you're vomiting. I used to vomit. I used to puke. Gosh, my morning sickness was terrible. So I go back home. Of course, I didn't tell my sister-in-law. I go back home, and then when my husband came back in the night, I told him, you know what, I have news for you. It's like, okay, what is it? What is? Because whenever I would go to the hospital alone, and I come back and tell him I have news, it's like, okay, now what is the worst that can happen? He would get anxious like I would. So I tell him, this is the news. I go get the pregnancy book. You'll see a stitched video maybe of what happened. I gave it to him, and he's wondering what is happening. And then he finally read the scan report, and he was very excited. He was like, "Hey, nimekuogopa." He's like, "I have feared you, my wife, my love, I feared you. How can all your prayers be answered like this?" And God has done it. God has done it. I told you guys, I was very excited, but I knew that it was not going to be easy, because that's what the gynecologist had told me. It's not going to be easy at all, but we will walk just the way we've been walking. So from January 16th, I finally get the blessing of twins in my womb, and I kept it to myself. I think I had told myself I'm going to tell anybody apart from my husband, and of course now that shemeji of ours that had gotten to know about it, and we told him that day, but we didn't continuously tell him because we knew he would speak it out to everybody. So we kept it inward, majorly not because of anything that something bad would happen, but because we wanted it to reveal at the end, to reveal at the end. And also there was a lot of uncertainty, so we didn't want to, raise eyebrows until later. So I carried these two twins. I had terrible sickness. I had a lot of pain. I used to walk like a penguin at a particular point. Everybody who would meet me, they would be like, "Oh, I can see tumeendelea. We are almost there." I'm like, I wish you knew. I wish you knew we were very far from getting there. So the twins were supposed to come in August. My EDD was supposed to be on the 6th of August. And their pregnancy was quite hectic, I can tell you. Carrying twins, it reached a point where I couldn't walk. Like I would walk, literally crawl on my knees. I would require help. Like even up to now, I've not yet completely healed out of it. There are some parts of me that still feel uncoordinated. There's some parts that still feel, disjointed. I can't really express how being a twin mom can make you feel. Yeah, of course I know the women are there that our bodies are different. That it is easy. I mean, people even carry triplets, quadruplets. Oh my goodness, me two were enough, and I was very excited. Every day I would get. It came with a lot of anxiety, because now when you have one child, you're thinking about just that one child. If they kick, they are there. You can feel them, they're in there. It's one baby. You will be able to tell, today the baby kicked how many times. When there are two, it's double the worry. You're starting to worry. I have only heard from one side. Why am I not hearing the other person from the other side? So every time I'd go like 2 days without feeling any. I would get so worried. I'm like, okay, I hope it's not the worst. I would think about the worst. There was a lot of negative thoughts, to a point that I felt like probably I'm going to go into depression, prenatal depression at a point. But I kept on talking to my husband and telling him, I'm worried about this, and we'd go for the scans and do the scans. And we got very active here on TikTok, and we got active on TikTok. We got active on the journey of content creation, and in those lines about pregnancy, because it was one way of enlightening others, and also one way of keeping me sane. Wow, it was not easy, but God was gracious. God's grace was abundant. It was more than we asked for, I think. And finally, the babies get us unaware as well. When we thought that this time around they would get us quite ready. At around 33 weeks, I went did the shopping for them, so I knew clothes wise I was kind of ready. Then at a point when now it is getting to the day of their birth, I knew I still had some time because I knew I was counting. We had gone to the gynecologist that met us before, just before, a week before their delivery, and he had told me, we can give it like 2 weeks and see if how it will be, because I can still feel the babies. One is breech, the first twin was head down and the other twin was head up. So it's like if there will be any change, there can be any change at whichever point. So if there will be any change, then it is normal. If there will not be any change with the first twin, it is normal delivery. We'll just go for normal delivery, because I think I got so much pain up to a point where my husband was like, I think we just go and get an elective Caesar and remove the babies. I don't want to risk your life. And we reached a point, and I really had wanted to have two twin girls and to have them normally. I didn't want to go for cesarean, and I told God about it. I was pleading with him because I knew the kind of baggage cesarean section comes with. So not that it is a wrong way of getting a baby, but I fear it personally. That's a personal opinion. I fear it so much. I fear the fact that I can't be in control of what is going on. So I really, not that I'm the one who has power over myself, but I felt like the normal way would give me a kind of control that cesarean section wouldn't give me. So when we talked to the doctor, it's like, okay, now if you've made up your mind, that is fine. But if I still believe that we can have these babies by the normal way, SVD. So previously, the first gynecologist used to tell us, this will definitely have to be a cesarean section. I'm like, why? Why are you saying it will definitely have to be a cesarean section? If the babies can come all head down, there is no need for cesarean section. Anyway, I'm like, God will make it right when the time is ripe. We will cross that bridge when we get to it. And a week two, this gynecologist, Dr. Osore, is very good in Nakuru. He gave us reassurance that if the baby doesn't flip, the first baby doesn't flip, we'll be able to maneuver and give birth to the other baby even if they are breech. So I was praying that my baby doesn't flip, and also the second twin also comes head down. It would be much easier. And on the 9th of July, because that's when the babies come, like on the 8th, the night of 8th, as we just done with dinner, and the babies decide, they're coming that night. That whole day 8th, I had been in the Bible trying to catch up the names, because I told my husband, this time I named the first baby, so you will be the one naming the second ones, the girls, so the twins. Of course, I had told myself I didn't want to know the gender at some point, because I didn't want to get disappointed. So I got to know the gender on our 5th anniversary, on May 26th, 5th marriage anniversary. That was when it was 26th of May 2024. So he comes to me and tells me, we will do our gender reveal on that anniversary, and we'll do it for both you and our parents, like both from here in Kenya and the ones in Uganda. So I had gotten now to know that they're both girls on that day. If you've not watched that video, you should go back and watch the video on the gender reveal. So When this baby, when this on this day on the 8th, I'm looking for the names all through the Bible. I was very busy, and I was invested in finding their names. So I had not really completed compiling the list, because I usually do what I did for the firstborn. I compiled the list, and then he had names to pick out from. So I did the same even for the girls, for their Christian names. So I told myself, I'm just going to write them down, and then I'll continue from there tomorrow. That was around 10 in the night. So at around 11, that is when my water breaks as I'm trying to get into bed to sleep. And the red is like, oh goodness, mommy, what have you done? You've sued on the bed. My 4-year-old now is telling me, oh, sued on the bed, mommy, you've sued on the bed. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I'm like, he had not yet turned 4, he was just turning 4 the following month. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what, it is not so. He's like, get off the bed, you come and stand here, don't move around, you're going to mess up the place, just stand there and stay there, I'm going to clean up. He calls the dad. But before he did that, he knew probably that I was going to have, because he sensed danger. He called the dad like 2 minutes before, and then the dad, I'm like, don't disturb daddy, there's nothing happening. It's like, no, daddy, mommy needs your help. So when finally it happened, he calls the dad, and the dad takes some time, because he had been called a few minutes and nothing had gone on. So when I finally call him, he comes in. I'm like, but waters have broken. The fast forward asks me now, what do we do? Whom do I call of the 2 friends that we had, the 2 options that we had to call? And we settled for the Kofeles. You go and check them out on the YouTube channel. They are very good people. We settled for the Kofeles, and the Kofeles came in. He called Sam. Sam came. They were actually going to sleep, because it was late, because it was 11, around 11:40 or something. So he comes and he takes us to the hospital. Of course, I had made a cotton wool pad that I would put there. It was getting soaked up. It was a gush of water. Like this was too much of water. So that is, fast forward, we go to the hospital, where our insurance is where we went, because our gynecologist had told us that is where it would be easy, and we had wanted to capture everything that would stay in our memories, for our delivery, for how the girls finally arrived to the earth. And these people are telling us, no, that can't happen. So all that was shattered, but we managed to get a few snippets of how they finally came in. Then they finally tell us, oh, your babies can't arrive here. If you're telling us that these are twins, and you're going to have them here, no, there's no way you're going to have them here. First of all, your stomach looks very small, and secondly, they are 36 weeks and they are twins. We don't have the facilities enough to take care of them. The same thing that they had told us on the firstborn babies. But anyway, we had to be referred after being given dexamethasone shots. They are painful. I went to PGH once again, and all this while I was praying. Of course, when we got to Mass Mission, we found our mom waiting there, and we went with her back to PGH. So my husband called a cab. We went back to PGH, and our prayer was, this time we have a better, different experience and story. And that is where we come to PGH with my mother-in-law and my husband, and this time they say they are not going to leave that place. We do registration. After I've been registered in, we were sharing beds. Like on one bed you'd be 4 mothers or 3. On the bed I was, we were 3 moms. So she's the lady that I found at the triage of the labor ward was very kind. She was a very professional person. May God bless you. May God bless you. yeah, we need more of you in the world. So she took me through everything. She asked me who I was. I told her I'm a midwife actually, because the very first time I had not said whatever my profession was. This time I said I'm going to say it, not for anything else, but if it can make my experience better, the better. So I said it, and she's like, okay, we're going to walk you through it, of course. And after that whole thing was done, the registration, they gave me a bed. Then she's like, I won't allow you to walk around today because we want to buy time for the medication you've been given to work on the children's lungs. And two, we want you to do a scan, a radiology scan, so that we can be able to tell whether these babies are going to come normally, like by vaginal birth, or we'll go for a cesarean section. And I was there with my mother-in-law and my husband. They stayed around, they stuck around. They would chase them out and they would stay. They would go from one corner to the next corner until around 5, around 4, they send us now to 4 a.m. They send us to now on the 9th 4 a.m. They send us to the radiology clinic, or the ultrasound, where they do the ultrasound. So we go there, and there was nobody at that time. We stayed there, we looked for help, and finally the person came. The radiologist came. I think he had gone to snooze a little bit, so he came. He did a scan, and both the twins had come head down. Hallelujah. Yeah, prayers answered. So both heads were down, and he wrote, and on the report he wrote, instead of all heads down, he wrote bumps down. So it would mean I would just have to go for cesarean section. So when we reached this side, we are like, no, the guy had actually seen, because she had done a scan, the tablets, I don't know whatever it is called, but she had done a scan using a tablet and a sonographer's, stick. And she had found that both heads were down, so she wanted a confirmatory scan. So when we come and tell her, she's like, yeah, I found that the heads were down, but I wanted him to confirm. You can't confirm with word of mouth. So my husband had to be sent back to get the scan. And when he went back, of course, I was coming with my mother. When we were coming back to the hospital, a lot of water was pouring. It was pouring like I had a lot of liquid pouring. My contractions were intense, but I was trying to hold on. I almost thought that we're not going to make it to the hospital wing. So we got to the hospital. They sent back my husband to get the report, the scan report. He reached there, he found when the sonographer had signed out and a new one was in. They had to call for him to be able to confirm it, and then finally he gets the report, and now they give me a go ahead of walking around. That was around 5:30 a.m. So I walk around. Around 6:30, the people who come in for morning devotions with patients, a particular church that comes in and prays for patients, come, they find me walking around. They say they want to pray, we pray together. It was a lot of, I didn't want to be in one position, because I had it. That was the very first time, to be honest, that was the very first time I was experiencing labor pains. I don't think I experienced labor pains on my first child. Or is it that we forget? But the girls were painful. Their labor was painful. It was a painful process. But I was composed. I told myself I'm not going to cry or shout or do anything. So fast forward, I stayed there laboring. You'll see the videos inserted somewhere. And I would do my deep squats whenever the contractions would come in, and try to swing around. It was painful. My mom-in-law was there, my husband was there, all encouraging me, rubbing my back. I really can't say thank you enough. You did so well. So finally at around 6, 8:30. I say, let me go in and see if they have called my name for me to be checked on. Only to be there, sure enough, I hear them calling my name. And then I get in and she's like, I want to check you on that particular contraction. Like, okay, I'm having a contraction. It's like, no, get onto the bed. I want to check you when you have a contraction. So by the time she gets in, by the time she got in, I was at 8 centimeters. By the time the hand was getting out, I was fully dilated and the head was like coming for the first twin. It's like, no, I don't want you to leave to deliver on the bed. You go to the delivery room. They get my things. There was a student nurse from Kabarak. I don't remember. I didn't get her name, but she was a degree student. She did so well. It was her first time delivering twins as well. So she's the one who got my things. She's like, I'm going to help you. Just tell me where you think. I'll just pick them. I want us to go right now. I take you to the bed. So we reached there. There were no sheets. She's like, no, I can't put her on the bed. She goes, gets a blanket. She gets sheets. I was really well taken care. Do you know God rewriting a story? That is what he did. He rewrote the history about that hospital. And the same hospital, same hospital, I gave birth to my first son. The same hospital I gave birth to these but pretty girls. So she laid the bed and told me to get on and coached me through the delivery. If you feel contractions, just pull your legs towards your chest and then you'll be able to push with a contraction. If it stops, relax and take deep breaths. And that is exactly what we did. I think I got a contraction before getting onto the bed. It's like, no, don't push. Then I got on the second contraction. So I got on the bed and I pushed the first baby with one push, and our baby's head was out, and then they maneuvered the other whole body, and the baby was born. And she was like, oh, okay. She was trying now to get hold of the umbilical cord. And she's like, oh, there's another. I'm like, no, there's another baby. She's like, oh, okay. I think there's a lot that goes on in the labor ward. And then she's like, the same thing. If you feel a contraction, you push. It didn't take so long. 5 minutes into it, got another contraction, and the other baby was born. And I called my husband and told him at around, it was 7:28, the first twin was born, and by 5 minutes later, the other baby was born. 7:33, the other baby was born, and yeah, they all didn't cry, but they sneezed. So those were my first 2 signs of life. I got them all, and they showed me these are girls, and they suctioned them up, and then they put them onto the warmer, and I had to get off the bed. Of course, I got a tear that was repaired well, and I went to shower. After showering, I came back to the babies, went to the nursery and started nursing them. Of course, I had already told my husband at 7:28 that 7:30, I think it was 7:40, that the babies are already here. I'm just being stitched up, and that is how the babies came to the world. We were so delighted. My mother-in-law and my husband had time for themselves, and they were very excited about it. And they later joined me to help me with the babies in the nursery room, and they got the clothes. I got me some tea to drink, helped me dress them, and that is how God's miracle babies joined us. It's a story. My story of children is to give hope to the ones that are still praying and hoping God will give them a baby. That indeed, do not lose the hope, because God is about to change and rewrite your story. That He is faithful to answer that prayer to its detail. So keep hanging on, be patient with Him, and He'll make your story a beautiful story. Thank you for being with me up to now. Blessings, and may God answer all your prayers.